Hi there, and welcome to the Experience Podcast. My name is Neal or Dennis, and I am a bridge from the old world to the new earth that we're creating here. Behind me, you can see what's being created, and with me today are two very special guests, Neal and Light, and I'm just going to let them introduce themselves, and we'll just go from there.
Hi, my name is Neal. Like Dennis said, Neal is not who I am. Who I am is a multi-dimensional, infinite spiritual being that's expressing through a human vessel. I'm blessed and humbled to be here. I'm a coach, and I assist conscious people in their 20s exit the matrix, exit the mind matrix, exit the programs, and to experience authenticity and be with their soul family. So if you're somebody that's in the matrix, if you're somebody that is programmed, you can reach out to Neal, to me directly, via Snapchat, via email, and that's in the description of this video. And welcome, Light. I would love to hear your introduction.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm always grateful to share and to utilize the power of the voice that we have for a platform. I guess I'll give a brief introduction, starting with the fact that I'm very passionate about conductors and about electricity and about magnetism. And this began for me in 2020 when they turned on this numbered generation of wireless technology. I won't say the name for censorship purposes. And I got very ill, I got very sick due to the radiation, and I began to study electromagnetism. And now I create tools which are resonant coils and resonant circuitry to reorganize the man-made radiation. And I do what's called grid work, where you look at the Earth grid. You can use the UVG Earth grid map, different Earth grid platforms that you can go and see ley lines. And I go to those spaces and I utilize these tools to amplify the natural frequencies and to essentially bring balance to any geostress created by electrical lines and cell towers, cell networks. I'm just another one of us humans on the earth right now doing our part. And the Dharma that I walked today feels more like it was chosen for me or predetermined than me choosing it, due to the circumstances of having to flee away from the radiation and leave everything behind, essentially. So I now am living in Costa Rica. I'm a steward of land, sacred land, and I'm co-creating and building community. And I'm very passionate about working with conductors for electroculture, for growing plants, for healing the body, for awakening different aspects of self, which can be a little bit sleepy, and the scientists call junk DNA, which are really just dormant superpowers, in my opinion, and much, much more. So I'll leave that as my intro right there.
Epic. How did you grow up, and where did you grow up at? So there's like two questions.
How? The big one. I grew up with loving parents, which is important, and parents that were aware of the realms beyond the physical, aware of the spiritual, and integrated in multiple ways the teachings of the spirit world. My dad has an indigenous background. I'm a quarter Cree. My dad is half Cree. And I grew up in Vancouver, BC. I was right in the middle of, the whole city vibe. It was more residential area, so no big buildings and stuff, but I was very close to downtown. It's about a 10-minute drive, and it was a great place to grow up, near the ocean, near the mountains, near the forest, but still in the mix of human civilization. I also went to public school and all the normal, what we call matrix things these days, eating the Kraft dinner, eating the Nutella.
And yeah, from there, have you always had this interest in electroculture, or has this been, and and I'm saying electroculture, but it's a way broader category than that. It's like it's frequency and vibration, and using this copper technology to literally generate precise, specific frequencies. And have you always had this interest in this technology, or is like when did that come online?
Yeah, so spirit really worked with me in aligning my ability to be creating these tools for the earth grid now. And it manifested in my life originally by researching EMF radiation after leaving Canada in 2020. And I found this beautiful brother on Instagram called Brother Gaia. And I actually bought a piece of technology from him, and I needed to have a payment from someone who is Canadian. So I needed help moving the money. And he put me in contact with a brother named Munas Magica to move this money. And this is how we originally connected. And he, in the meantime, is building these tools. And I had heard about them, I'd seen them, and I had studied them a little bit. So I really wanted to connect with him about it. And we naturally connected in the heart. We met each other as beings of the heart and got on some phone calls. And it became clear that I wanted to deepen my relating with this human. And an opportunity arose where I was able to invite him out to work on a food forest project in Uvita in Costa Rica here with me and be paid for the work and come and set up the studio. So he came and he set up the studio, and we began to produce these tools for the land we were working on. And then we began selling them at the markets. And since then, my life has forever changed from dreaming about it, oh, I want to get it, to being able to bring it to the people. I'm very grateful for that.
What year was it when you got the invitation to like be in Uvita and assist in this food forest?
I believe this was 2021. Time is a very slippery thing for me. So I do my best.
Thank you.
And the thing that you held up, yes. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and what that does?
Okay, here we go. Fasten the seatbelts. So let's start at square one. We're working with copper, and any of the noble metals, whether it's copper, whether it's silver, all of these metals, gold, they're naturally conductive. So they have the ability to resonate, they have the ability to move energy. And when they move that energy, which is really a vibration, they're moving the information that's carried in that vibration. And that information has a geometry, it has a resonant frequency, and it has a light emission, which is usually beyond the visible light spectrum. So these tools are creating ultraviolet light, which we can detect with ultraviolet light cameras or Kirlian photography. And one of their most immaculate powers is their ability to put ultraviolet light inside of water, which is a challenge to do even inside of laboratory conditions. It's not super easy. And we know that the people around the world who have the highest level of ultraviolet light exposure also live the longest, have the longest lifespans. So the more we're exposed to this UV light, the more we have longevity, the more our cells have health. And the light carries information, it carries energy. So when we're working with copper, silver, gold, inherently we're working with a conductor and a metal which has the capacity for resonance, the vibrational information. And I'll let you know that our consciousness itself is animated by the Schumann resonance. Now you may ask, what is the Schumann resonance? It's the frequency of the earth. So the earth has a constant vibrational frequency. And this frequency is what is animating life. So the creator of orgonite was experimenting with different orgonite techniques, and he was rolling people in blankets of metallic material and organic material, positive, attract, repel. Stacking those layers would accumulate orgonite, and he called them orgonite accumulators. And orgon is life force energy. Orgon means original, primary, source. So he was rolling people up in these blankets in an attempt to heal them, and he accidentally killed multiple people. And Les Brown, a pyramid researcher, released this information after his passing, that was told to him in quiet. And what this informs us, this gives us a big key of information when we hear about people dying when they're cut off from the Earth's frequency, because that tells us that the Earth's frequency is what is animating our consciousness. And without it, we leave the body immediately. So if we amplify the Earth's frequency, we're not just amplifying physical healing, we're actually amplifying our capacity to be consciousness on Earth here and now. We can ground more of the spirit into the body, bring more of heaven to Earth. So that's where the passion is for me. That's why I'm so excited about these tools beyond the physical, very metaphysical devices. And what I'm sharing about here, to bring it back, there's so much we can get into. The Schumann resonance, the Earth's frequency, animating consciousness, and then a conductor. So the Schumann resonance is a magnetic field. And the magnetic field is always flowing to magnetic north from magnetic south. And this flowing magnetic field is a moving magnetic field. Now, whenever you have a moving magnetic field that interacts with a conductor, like a copper wire, silver wire, gold wire, brass wire, you're going to create an electrical charge inside of that wire because the law of induction. So this is one of the primary laws of magnetism. The law of induction states that a moving magnetic field creates a charge in a conductor, and vice versa. A charge in a conductor creates a moving magnetic field. So what these devices are doing is they're grabbing that moving magnetic field that's always flowing from magnetic south to magnetic north. And they're grabbing it and they're starting to spin it in these opposite flowing electrical circuits. And those opposite flowing circuits are colliding. It's like a yin and yang collider. And every time they collide, they're making what science now calls a scalar wave, which isn't limited by time or space, passes through all objects, metal, concrete, steel, rubber, and has many, many transcendental qualities that we could maybe get into later. For now, I want to stick with, what's going on here. So this device is a conductor, copper, which is grabbing the electromagnetic field of the Earth, which is always flowing from south to north. And when it grabs that magnetic energy, that moving magnetic field is working with the law of induction, and it's creating a charge in the conductor. And that charge in the conductor is creating those cancellation waves. And because it's a moving charge, moving electricity in the closed electrical circuits, it makes its own magnetic field. So induction works both ways. It grabs the magnetic field and then it makes its own with electricity. And this magnetic field has the quality of reorganizing man-made radiation, restructuring water, allowing plants to grow bigger, helping to assist the body in healing. And the different measurements we utilize have different effects. For example, this is the sound healing qubit, all about amplifying sound, adding additional layers to sound. These are lost qubits. So they are all about grounding the emotional body, holding the emotional body. The shadow work for meditation, plant medicine. And then you have stacking measurements. And the length of the conductor is the frequency. So if I cut something to 20.63 inches, that's the standard measurement from Egypt, it will resonate at 144 megahertz once those circuits are closed. And when that circuit is closed and you have that resonant quality, it's because of your measure. So antennas in your phone, antennas in your computer, and your laptop, they're all different measurements. And the wavelength coming out of the emitter, if it's the same measurement of a wavelength as the receiver, it will receive the information. But if the receiver antenna is shorter than the wavelength coming in, it won't pick it up. So we're essentially creating antennas, magnetic antennas, which are matching certain wavelengths, so they resonate with those wavelengths. And different measurements have different frequencies: physical healing, emotional healing. Same frequency as your pineal gland. You got measurements from the Giza pyramids, from the pyramids of Bosnia. So we can use sacred site measurements, which are ancient, and we can also tune and find our own in radionics, which also utilizes this technology a lot. So this is called the harmonizer, and these are called tensor rings. And they're both working with those opposite flowing electrical circuits that are making those cancellation waves, which do all the things I shared, from structuring water to radiation to healing the body and making plants grow bigger, and God knows what else, accumulating ormus, accumulating orgone. So that is the harmonizer. It is a frequency device that is powered by the earth, and you can utilize sound to power it just by speaking. If you didn't know, sound is a moving magnetic field. So the moving magnetic field of sound will create induction in the wire and power the coil to make a larger magnetic field. So if you play frequencies into the coil, into the resonant circuitry, you're going to broadcast those frequencies out. And whatever you put inside, like crystal, will be broadcasting into the environment. So anyone who has a harmonizer, put headphones in it, and you can find different tapes like the environmental clearing tape, which is all about cleaning the atmosphere. And then you can use alpha brainwaves for focus. You can use theta, delta or theta for sleeping. And you can actually use this as a frequency broadcasting device for many different needs.
Now, if let's say somebody decides to use it for a frequency broadcast device, what would be the intent? Like what could actually be broadcasted from these? I'm not exactly sure the word that you call them. Yes, what can be broadcasted from these harmonizers?
Primarily, we're working with native frequencies, and the fact that they're powered by the earth is extremely helpful. And ideally, we're broadcasting the earth's frequency. I believe, and I think most of us believe, that the earth is the highest intelligence here. And if we can work with the earth, and if we can harmonize with the earth, we're going to be strengthened in all of our paths we're choosing, whether that's growing food or healing the body, whatever, it doesn't matter, or opening our consciousness. The earth is going to help us with all of these things. So ideally, they're broadcasting the earth's frequency, and you can do that by grounding these. So I'm not outside, but what I do is I build tall antennas, and I ground the wire at the bottom with bamboo, wrap it up with the bamboo, and then at the top, I wrap it around the harmonizer. So the harmonizer is grounded to the earth in the sky, and you have a separation of charge between the positively charged atmosphere and the negatively charged earth, which makes an electrical flow. And then the harmonizer is powered by that electrical flow and is broadcasting the earth's frequencies because it's grounded. So these work really well with man-made radiation. And they're also this orgone technology, this orgonite, they have military CIA patents for stealth technology, because if you send a signal in, how you track something is you send a signal in, you hit it, and then it comes back. Well, these things dissolve that signal, so it doesn't get back, and they can't find out where you are. So these are used in military technology for stealth, as a stealth technology, orgonite and sensor technology. So the frequencies we're broadcasting is depending on what we're trying to do. I would always recommend the earth first, and then I constantly play the environmental clearing tape by Slim Sperling, Light Life Technology. And that one is all about cleaning the atmosphere. It's actually recordings of storm clouds, which is the most electrical event which happens on Earth pretty much, these lightning storms. So they recorded the resonant frequency of the storm clouds with at observatories with the special technology there, and they put it in a tape, and you play that tape into the harmonizer, and it's like broadcasting an extremely electrical event into the atmosphere, which will actually spin inorganic molecules and organic molecules and accumulate ormus, which is a whole conversation.
Accumulate what?
Ormus, orbitally rearranged monoatomic elements. And through that spin state, it will get rid of man-made pollution and raise the frequency of organic matter. So you're simultaneously purifying the environment of the inorganic while raising the frequency of the organic matter. So 432 hertz, great, all the resonant frequencies, alpha brainwaves, whatever sometimes I play Sam Garrett into the harmonizer, who's singing about love and peace and blessings and unity, so that I'm broadcasting that into the etheric field, because it's more than just the physical field. We can pray with these things. I call them a cosmic microphone. It's like When I speak to God, I'll bust out the harmonizer and pray for the people in Palestine and pray for the people of the world to be free and to be safe and to be happy. To remember that we're all the same. We should all love each other. So
What kind of, yes, it is. Like, so now when you're sending this love and when you're sending these frequencies out, what's the range of, like, what kind of, how far out does this, do these harmonizers actually reach?
Oh, this is for the people that are not afraid to look into what most would call woo woo, right? So we get into scalar energy, and when I speak to people about this, I hold myself back a lot because a lot of it can be considered crazy, literally.
Well,
And
I'm here promoting the crazy. So while you're here in this conversation, let it rip, like.
okay, so I'll start with you by sharing that scalar energy is not limited by time or space. We're talking about a quantum fundamental energy of the universe, which is before the form. The scalar field is the formless substratum of reality, which is inherently consciousness. So we're working with the field of consciousness, which is before the form. Time doesn't exist there and space doesn't exist there. We're talking about a quantum, the earth right now is based on explosions. We need to explode things to make energy. But this technology is based upon implosion. It's the feminine, it's the creative force.
Wow.
Explosion is the destructive force, right? We have to destroy the gasoline to move along in our cars. But the implosion is silent, and it doesn't shoot out energy. It's a 0 point. So it's like the mother energy of the universe, which is making energy from itself for free. It's not needing to explode gasoline. It's just producing it from the ether. It's like the great mother. So when you ask about range, it's a funny conversation. And when people ask me about it, I'll give them something. Like I'll tell them like it'll hit your house or it'll hit your community. But in my head, I'm like, this is like for the world. And like the proximity of you to it is gonna have an effect. So just like keep it close by. And an experiment from Slim Sperling's book, Slim Sperling's Universe, which he repeated multiple times. He had a friend who was working at an observatory. He was located in Texas, and the observatory was more than 10 kilometers, or roughly 10 kilometers away from him. And he called his buddy in the observatory one day who had a set of equipment that could measure the resonant frequency of clouds and also the different quality of the cloud. So what kind of cloud it was, its electrical potential, stuff like this. And he was 10 kilometers away. He called up his friend and he goes, "Hey, you see that lenticular cloud above your observatory?" And the guy's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Can you point your equipment at it? And can we run an experiment?" And the dude's like, "Of course." So they ran an experiment. He started measuring the resonant frequency of the cloud, checked out all its stats, and then told Slim, like, "All right, do your thing." And Slim Sperling was standing 10 kilometers away with a big ring, one of those big old guys. And he just busted it out and aimed it at the ring, or aimed it at the cloud. And in a few minutes, his buddy was already communicating with him that the cloud had gone superconductive. So the cloud had changed its state to more of a plasma state. Its whole state changed at a measurable molecular level from 10 kilometers away with one ring. So the range on this thing is silly. We're talking about what Tesla called, we're talking Tesla terms, which some people will appreciate. That collision, we call it now scalar energy, but if we're talking to honor the true terms, like Tesla calling these induction coils, we'll honor Tesla and we'll say it creates longitudinal magnetodielectricity. And that's not even a wave. This doesn't even move like a wave. People say scalar waves. They don't even go up and down. This is an energy which is operating in the formless field. And the way they explain it in science is like a slinky pushing itself. But I believe it's even before the form. There's a reason why it can affect things so far away, like 10 kilometers, just because it's working in the non-physical realms. And the fact that it's producing light beyond the visible spectrum shows us that it's a very multidimensional tool and is not just operating in the physical realm. So that would be my answer to what's the range on these things. It's not very specific, but I hope that gives you more context on the trickiness in giving it a specific range.
Yes, I receive your answer, and I'd like to hear more about scalar waves. Like, what is anything you want to share about scalar waves in particular?
The scalar is a big conversation. I brushed on it a little bit earlier. Scalar is essentially a field of information. Some people call it the Akashic records, right? Some people call it the etheric field. Some people call it quantum physics. We're all talking about the same thing.
Yeah,
We're talking about this.
Yes.
Yeah, we're talking about this formless part of reality, which is giving rise to all of the form. And there exists all the information. And people like Tesla talking about 0 point would say that in a square inch of oxygen, you got all the information of the cosmos. You have every frequency right here possible in the whole bandwidth. And what we're experiencing is based on our attunement. And that's why we see other things when people take psychedelics, because they're changing the frequency. They're beginning to see other realms. They're beginning to see other frequencies. So I would sum up the scalar field in the same way I did earlier, which is the formless substratum of reality, which is inherently consciousness itself. And scalar energy, from the perspective of longitudinal magnetodielectricity, is, you could call it life force or orgon. This is the primordial energy from which gives form to everything in the universe. It's like the Great Mother. And we're all born from it. It's like the unborn, undying Sat Chit Ananda. That's what I would call scalar energy.
Yes.
So, are you complete with that?
Yeah.
So I have a question now, and this may not be for you, but I'm really curious what your answer is. Why, if we can have all the secrets to the universe within 1 square inch, are we going out to space to look for answers?
The question is, why is everyone searching outside of themselves for what they already are? And what I'll say is, it's a hollow search and it's a vain pursuit. And the more you want, the more it hurts. So you might as well be comfortable with what you have and come to a space of gratitude, because the vain pursuit will drive you crazy. And the hollow search is exactly that. It's hollow. You're not going to find substance there. The fullness is within, it's not without. And I believe it's always going to be a condition of the one who thinks they are separate, that they need to go out and find themselves. But if you know that you're not separate from the source of all creation, and that everything is you ultimately, and like Kesha, like him, I am you and you are me, there's nothing left to seek. And there's an inherent bliss in just existing, in just the felt sense of I am. And when you sit with the I am, you see that there's an inherent love for it. We have a love for I am. And I believe that I am is love, and that I am is God, and that love is God, and that I am, love, and God are the Holy Trinity that all mean the same thing. And because we are one with God. Because we are love, and so on and so forth. So I would say my advice would be for all beings would be to call off the search and to cut away the things that are distracting us from the realization and the knowing that we're already full. And it's a constant battle. I am, even in union and relationship with a woman, find that the ego, as we call it, always wants the greener grass on the other side. And at some point we have to surrender this part, this monkey mind, what I call it, that always wants more, to the soul, which is inherently full and complete, and moving from completion to completion as wholeness itself. That would be my answer right there.
Yeah, I acknowledge you, like, for the clarity you're bringing, and for like the precision of your answers. Like, like you're an actual soul in a body. Like you don't have like all these programs that's talking. You're actually being authentic and real, and I acknowledge you for that. It's a rare occurrence, and I'm specifically acknowledging it to bring recognition to what the real deal looks like.
Mm. Humble. I stay humble. You know, we're all the same. I believe in epigenetics and that our experiences trigger different gene expressions. And I feel very grateful to the God, to the source for giving me experiences which have awoken aspects of self which help me to remember and to be who I am now. So, you know, I really give all the praises to the Most High because I wonder often how much of my life is my own and how much of these words are even my own because I'm just sitting here and they're coming through. And I'm not necessarily thinking about them before they come through.
And so now in this present moment, like so you have this light technology. So we're here now in the year 2024, and there's an obsession with technology on the planet right now. Like literally,
Definitely.
it's an obsession to the point of being a religion right now. And
Yep.
so my question to you is like so I'm gonna like time travel to the past and look at Atlantis. So Atlantis was also super technological, and but it was like crystal technology, and it was like this
Yep.
or this organic form of technology.
Yep.
And the technology that's on the planet today, it's also crystal technology, but so there's literally like chips in this computer, in the camera. And when I say chips, these chips are made of crystalline structure, which is what's allowing for communication, which is how I'm able to see your face, hear your voice. We're communicating via crystals right now.
Wow.
And so I'm saying this to now ask you, like, so so there's this crystalline technology and this copper and these other metals that you're utilizing. Uh, do you see this as being a correlation to Atlantis, um, or do you see it being a correlation to present day technology, or do you see it as like being its own thing, or is there a fourth option that I'm not even talking about?
Yeah. So tying it into the ancients, you know, I really believe this is a renaissance. This is a rebirth of the technology. It's not the first time it's been here. And you look at, I think I don't know if you've had a podcast discussing the old world or discussing what people call Tartaria, which is only one part of the old world.
Yes,
But there
I've
was
heard
a
this.
there was a civilization before ours, which was much more advanced, and they were creating architecture which is still on the earth, which baffles the minds of us humans and brings us into the state of awe almost immediately. And they use giant copper domes with cymatics on the inside and spiral columns. And you know, you look at the whole building top to bottom and you see it's an actual energy generator with resonators, with capacitors, with amplifiers, with antennas on the top. And you look at books from the 1800s, 1700s, and you look at photos of the farmland, and the farmland is covered in antennas. Everyone's house has multiple antennas. The
Mm.
fences have antennas. They're working with atmospheric energy absolutely everywhere. They're charging their water with it. They're charging their houses with it. They got resonant capacitor dome homes that are completely copper and have antennas on them and are vibrating their bodies. So there was a completely different world. And you know, Atlantis, Lemuria, these things I don't have specific details on, but I have tapped into a woman who's a channel. And it's funny how, you know, there are those of us who are open to the information from channeling and those that don't believe in it. I personally, from hearing the story of this woman and listening to her talk and seeing her face on video, there's a natural intuition of trust with her. And she brought forth a certain set of frequencies called the Ramu and the Viking. and the sacred continent. And these are three resonant frequencies that I use in my creation of technology. They're three measurements. And when you cut the copper to that measurement, you close the circuit, you have that resonant frequency that's from Atlantis, from Lemuria. And one of them is the divine masculine, Ramu, the divine feminine, Viking, and sacred continent is the frequency of Om. So I do utilize different channeled frequencies. I utilize frequencies from sacred sites and also frequencies found in radionics. So there's a myriad, and I believe that there were a multitude of past civilizations which are no longer here, but left their absolute marvels upon the earth. And a lot of them have been buried. You know, you go to London, a lot of the buildings are mostly underground. They weren't built underground. The ground came up with the mud flood. And that's all around the world, where you see buildings that are partly or mostly underground. Pyramid of the Sun, same thing, mostly underground in Mexico. So you look around the world and you see that there's been some global catastrophes, cataclysms that have wiped out previous expressions. And now there's many stories behind that. I'm going on a tangent, but I believe it's due to some genetic modification and alterations that were happening that creator wasn't okay with, and it needed a reset. So here we are after the redoing.
Yes. So I got another question. When you're looking at the pyramids in Egypt, do you see those as being like generators, or what's your perspective on the purpose of the pyramids?
I wish I had my book Pyramid Power. Okay, so I'll keep it brief as best as I can. What is a pyramid is the question, firstly. Now, pyramids have absolutely incredible research behind them. You can look into the work of Les Brown, L-E-Z Brown, and he's come up with some fundamental research. I got stories about him I'd love to share, but for another time. But the pyramid is essentially a refracting device. So it's the same geometry as the prism, which takes white light and turns it into the rainbow. So the pyramid takes magnetic energy and brings out all its polarizations. So the polarizations of magnetism constitute all of the expressions of our reality, be that inertia, mass, all of these things. So the pyramid is essentially taking the fundamental energy of the cosmos, refracting it, polarizing it, and bringing it, rebroadcasting it into the environment. So in the same way that these are a magnetic antenna, which grabs the magnetic field and rebroadcasts it as a toroidal field, the pyramid actually does the same thing. And I got to bring it to the etymology of the word pyramid, pyra, Latin for fire, pyra, and then mid, middle. So you have fire in the middle. And that's because if your third eye was open and you were looking at the pyramid, or with Curlian photography, you would see a massive spiral shooting up the middle of the pyramid, and coming out the top is a double helix and a toroidal field flowing all the way around the pyramid all the time.
Yeah.
So it's an orgone accumulator, it's an orgone broadcasting device, and you look into the certain characteristics like paramagnetism. It's made of paramagnetic rock, which has a self-organizing intelligence, organizes water, makes plants grow bigger, organizes radiation, all these things, paramagnetic. And it's also mostly quartz, right? That rock. And it's so heavy and it's all squishing on itself. And if you take a quartz rod and you put it on a metal grounded pad and you hit it with a hammer, you can look at this on YouTube even. That quartz rod will shoot out in a lightning bolt and will ground into the plate, because when you strike quartz, it releases electricity, and they call it piezoelectricity. And even Tesla would talk about 0-point energy and how we could power devices with quartz for generations, with a quartz crystal, generational battery. Good Lord. But it's squeezing all that quartz with all those tons of weight, and it's making all that electricity in the pyramid, which is making that toroidal field. And then you look under the pyramid, you got big pools of mercury. So they were spinning mercury, generating electricity, because when you add electricity to mercury, it begins to spin. This is why they make us afraid of mercury. They keep it away from people because it's the #1 tool for free energy. And it's also one of the strongest magnetic attractors. So if you put mercury at the top of an antenna, it will attract a lot of magnetic energy, and then that antenna can bring it down. So mercury was put on the top of all these old world buildings, the top of the antennas, to act as an orgone accumulator, or a magnetic attractor is another way of saying it. And more on the pyramid would be that when it's properly oriented with the Earth's magnetic field, it multiplies in its size and strength. So if you operate like the pyramids I construct here are perfectly aligned to magnetic north, so that they're activated by the magnetic field. And the weird thing is, we're talking about a magnetic field, like cardboard, plastic, styrofoam, plexiglass, all get magnetized or work better when they're aligned with the magnetic field. So it's not necessarily about a conductor. You can do it from cardboard or plastic. Any material, the geometry is what's carrying the power. The geometry is what's creating the vortex, and the geometry is what's creating the toroidal field. So just the geometry of the pyramid is a fundamental geometry of the universe, which seems to act as a conduit or a conductor and broadcaster of cosmic energy. That's what I would say right there.
Epic. You way over delivered with your answer. Thank you so much.
I could keep going, like so much.
We're at the end of our time together. I honestly personally would love to have another conversation. So I'm publicly stating this, and I'm inviting you to another conversation, because I would love to go deeper and just like communicate more about this, because I feel in my body, through my intuition, through like God speaking to me through my intuition, that this is super relevant to Earth right now, and to the people here. And so I'm putting that out there. And then a direct question for you, Light, is would you like for people to reach out to you, like for this, for like, and when I say this, specifically for the conductors that you're producing, what do you call the things, the generators,
Harmonizers.
Specifically for the harmonizers, or even it's like a coaching call on how somebody can do their own. Is this something you're interested in?
I'm super open. This is my dharma. I'm here to for the people. I understand the law of service, the law of love, and the law of one, and that if I'm to hold this for myself or diamond hand it, I'm only going to get the karma slap from doing that. So I'm here to be open. I'm here to share this information. You can DM me at eternal.light.technology on Instagram. And it's the same on Gmail, eternal.light.technology@gmail.com. And I have a website. I'm not proud of it. I'm not a digital designer, and I'm just beginning to work with people to make it better. So the website will be better soon. And right now, just look at the Instagram because it's not worth it.
Epic. And we're gonna put both of those links, so to your Instagram and to your email, in the description. And then if anybody wants to reach out to you, like it's right there, it's available. And is this something that can be like these harmonizers? Can they be like shipped? If somebody wasn't like immediately near you, is this something that can be like sent to somebody's home?
Definitely. I've spent the last 2 years as my main service to Earth and how I earn my income, just providing people with frequency medicine, essentially.
So these can be shipped worldwide. Amazing.
I would love to be back. Thank you so much for holding the space and bringing a channel to the people about what's going on and how we can utilize this energy. I have so much to say, and I have other information on YouTube, for example. You can go to the Instagram and DM me. I can link you any resources or information. And I've just created a private Telegram group. You can reach out to me about that and get in the community as well. And as we build this new Earth network as a foundation for a new Earth.
Yeah. Good job. Thank you. Yeah, this has been fun. Like literally, I don't even time doesn't exist, and I don't know where it just went. Uh, thank you to the viewer for being here. And you heard it from Light directly. Like if you want to reach out to Light and connect with him with these harmonizers and these frequency technology, like reach out, check out the description. And if you want to be a guest on the podcast, like reach out to Dennis or I directly. Thank you for being you. I love you. Peace out, Light.
Peace, brother. So much love to you all.
Yeah.